Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is a Full Tilt Dynasty podcast presented by Underdog Fantasy and also representing the True North Fantasy Football brand. Today, we're not streaming live on the YouTube for True North. There was a time conflict. We had to move the time up so Jacob and Billy could argue about the Phelps and Cream City.
Cream City, baby.
What a disgusting name for a city. Absolutely ridiculous.
It is probably the worst moniker there is. Look, again, I am the host of the most time on his hands. This is Tom Simple FF. This is the first post-draft show. Want to shout out everybody for the draft shows. It was crazy. Night one and stuff, but everyone was real dope about it. Night two, we had everything fixed. And me and Jacob got to hard selly on a couple of our favorites being drafted where only we could hope. With that in mind, I, of course, as I mentioned, I am Thomas Tipple. You can find me at Thomas Tipple FF. And I did not expect James Cook to just willy-nilly be launched into the 106 conversation after like 3 days.
What a crazy trip. I'm Billy. You can find me on Twitter, as always, at BigBillyFF. And David Bell barely got day two capital, so I'll take that win, baby. And now Jacob will mention it in the first 5 seconds.
My name is Jacob Sanderson. You can find me on Twitter at FF_RTDB. And my rank on Wan'dale Robinson is the same as the difference in inches between our heights. Wide receiver 9.
Oh, my goodness. That's good. I like that one. I actually like that one.
That was good.
I felt like I came unprepared. Obviously, there's a ton of news. There's a ton of notes. There's a ton of things happening. And we're going to try to get to as much as we can for the first episode. We've obviously got weeks to go over this. And as more stuff comes out, like I think I finally did rookie rankings. I didn't even do any. Like last year, I finally officially made one. So shout out to Jacob, who not only makes them, but makes sure to write an essay on each player in his rankings. Shout out to you for that, because that
I had to keep expanding. For anyone that does not know, all my Dynasty rookie ranks, which I have 1 to 60, and they are notated. They are exclusively available in the Bulletproof Patreon group. And yeah, I write these little notes beside them. That at the top are usually informative, and as I keep writing more and drinking more as I write them, they usually just become more sarcastic. I think next to Tyquan Thornton, I just said Bill Belichick needs to retire.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
As I write more, I just expand the column like a little bit more each time that I write a longer note, and then they just keep getting longer. So yes, I did start writing some essays.
Look, it was an absolutely insane draft with a ton of stuff to sift through. And we are going to sift through them in the only way we know how. And guess what? We're bringing back today, first time in a while, we got a Billy Stat Corner today, a draft edition. So we haven't done a Billy Stat Corner in a while. I'm pretty stoked to. I
got a fun one.
Yeah, and apparently they're a little different. So I like that. Billy was teasing that before. First, let's do the thing that we normally do. Obviously, with so much news coming out over the weekend and 8 billion sources. You know what? Screw that. I just want to mention there are so many live draft shows. It seems now, like last year, it didn't seem to be as many, but this year, everyone, I felt like, got onto it, and we still tripled our numbers. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast faithful and everywhere we're streaming, whether it's the Dynasty Vipers, True North, all that stuff.
Guys.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't be there without you. We also gave away a jersey, which was super dope. He was very stoked to have that. But let's do some news. We were talking a little bit off camera, and I'm going to play it. Now I have the ability to, so I'm going to do it. This is the Ryan Tannehill, press conference interview from, I believe it was today. And talk about not being a good teammate. This is pretty rough.
In a quarterback room in the same room, we're competing against each other. We're watching the same tape. We're doing the same drills. I don't think it's my job to mentor him, but if he learns from me along the way, then that's a great thing.
That is like a no. Like it feels like if you were paying attention to the internet for football reasons today, that circulated really quick, and I know it kind of comes off that Tannehill's kind of being a dick, but he's just for once not reading off of a teleprompter, right? It feels like when a new quarterback comes in, it's like that. I don't know, they make fun of hockey players for everything sounding like redundant. We're going to come in, it's got check time, and every player is real important to this team, and it's one foot in the other, and every game's real important. This is just not that for once, so I kind of dig that. This is a dude that beat, he already took somebody else's job. He had to come back from being quote unquote left for dead, and now they've just drafted his replacement after taking him to the playoffs and deep in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care as much as other people. I just think this is hilarious. Like, this is good off-season content. I don't know how you guys feel. Billy, I'll go to you.
I do want to jump in here real quick and say, do y'all know Ryan Tannehill played wide receiver in college?
Yeah, I think he was on Chris Hogan's lacrosse team.
Yeah, exactly. And both of them played.
They went to class together when they visited Harvard with Kyle Juszczyk. I don't know.
And both of them played high school football with Matt Stafford and Clayton Kershaw. Anyway, the thing with Malik Willis is this is such a bizarre situation because Malik Willis 2 weeks ago was talked about potentially going number 2 overall. Like, I don't think anyone here really thought that was a possibility, but that was a legitimate rumor and a legitimate thing that Vegas was putting out as a potential outcome. And then he fell to be later drafted than Mason Rudolph. So it's a crazy situation, and it just feels like because Malik Willis was seen as potentially this really high talent, this story just got picked up because. If Malik Willis would have gone at, I can't remember where they were picking, 16? Was that where the Titans picked?
26.
No, 26. They trade up to 16. If Malik Willis would have gone there and Ryan Tannehill said this, it'd be a different situation. But the fact that he fell so far in the draft, it really is, this is where backup quarterbacks tend to get drafted. And it makes sense for Tannehill to be like, look, this is my job. We are competing for this. And his job is to take my job. So right. I don't see a reason why it's my obligation when I'm getting paid all this money by the team to also take that time to teach this guy how to take my job. So I think it just got blown out of proportion. People want to talk about football because the post-draft stuff kind of quieted down after such a crazy draft. Feels like everyone was taking a cigarette for the last 2 days after how crazy the draft was. Mm-hmm. And now people are like, oh, shit, all right, we need to talk about stuff again. So that's the way I view it.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, Billy. Perception is everything, right? Like perception on Malik Willis going there, it seems more threatening to, perception is different with all these quarterbacks, right? Quarterback goes to Atlanta, Carolina in Corral Ritter. The assumption is they're probably starting by week 8, right? With Bailey Zappi goes 1 round later to the Patriots, and the assumption is he's probably never playing ever unless Mac Jones gets injured, right?
One of the worst ever.
It's a totally different perception based on what people think of the player that's involved. And that makes sense. And this Tannehill situation is kind of in the middle because Tannehill has had success there. He was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league in 2019 to 2020. Statistically wasn't there in 2021. But if I'm Ryan Tannehill, I say, A.J. Brown was injured half the year. Julio Jones was injured most of the year. Tarek Henry was injured half the year. And the offense that I had with Nick Westbrook-Akine, Chester Rogers, and Deontay Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard still got the 1 seed in the AFC. So I would still feel pretty good about my accomplishments if I was him. I understand where they're at, and I understand why it would be tempting to draft a replacement for Ryan Tannehill since you're probably paying a little more than you're getting out of him, especially as they move off A.J. Brown and might be entering a transition period. But if I'm Tannehill, I say I've given my good work to the organization. I think I'm going to continue to do that with my play, not with mentoring my potential replacement. And I know that it's easy for us that look at cap friendly all day to see, this is why they might move on from Tannehill. If I'm Tannehill, I say I have a contract for 2023. I plan on staying with the team for as long as possible, earning that contract and trying to win a Super Bowl. That has to be his mindset, right? I don't think any player looks at the outs in their contract and just assumes that they're going to get cut. I don't think that you're wired that way if you're a professional athlete.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly.
And you can't be. You can't.
To be a professional athlete in the NFL, I think you have to have some aspect of I'm the best player in the world at my position. Whether that's true or not,
Yeah.
you need something like that in you. And I mean,
you need like 2018 Russell Westbrook mentality, even if
Yeah.
you're playing like 2022 Russell Westbrook. Like you need it all the time. The basketball game on the Jacob's watching, I got to get any references that I actually know out of the way.
yeah, you need to stimulate that part of his brain so he can like.
Bad news for you, Dustin. Dustin says triple viewership on the draft show, so Jacob could afford to buy something to put on his walls. Hilarious, but not true. I'm back in my parents' basement right now in Winnipeg. You would normally see the gorgeous wooden planks behind me, but there's much less of an angle to the television. So I have built a tower of pillows in front of me on a pull-out couch that I'm resting my computer on so that I can watch basketball and podcast about Ryan Tannehill at the same time.
Solid.
That's currently the commitment to both the Celtics and this podcast.
That's just what we do. Also, they are such vastly different players. He can show them how to be a pro, but physically can't teach. Willis can teach Tanny a thing or two.
I don't think you can teach him a thing or two. I think Willis can try and teach him how to be an elite rusher all he wants, and Tannehill's still a 33-year-old white dude.
This is how you take a sack when you don't need to. That's about the only. Even Sam Darnold believes is a good QB, so we're all wired that way.
Exactly. I'm glad he believes that.
And look,
the one thing I want Malik Willis to teach Ryan Tannehill is when he goes up to do that, like roll the ball off his finger, the rushing touchdown, so it doesn't look like he tears his ACL every time.
Yeah,
every time he does that, I'm like, oh, Ryan.
Love the finger roll.
The other thing I wanted to get into was I want to talk about James Cook. Maybe we'll save that. I'm going to save that press conference because I'm looking at
you pilot the ship however you like, Tom. Tell us what you'd like us to talk about, and we will talk about it.
I'm looking at the show sheet that Billy worked so tirelessly to finally get the link into the.
That was upsetting me primally.
He tried a couple of times. He kept posting the wrong one, but that's it. Look, we're going to take a second. We got some clips here from the Scott Barrett show. When we come back, we're going to get into a little bit of fast info, some of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and a couple of takes. And then after that, I think we got Stat Corner lined up, and it's into the good. So sit tight and enjoy.
Drake London, okay, the model says he's wide receiver 1, but I see this very damning red flag. There is Jameson Williams, wide receiver 2, but I see 2 extremely glaring red flags. There's Chris Olave, wide receiver 3. I see 1 very damning red flag. There's wide receiver 4, Garrett Wilson. Minimal red flags, but he's still wide receiver 4. And then Treylon Burks, wide receiver 5, another damning red flag. And so I did these models because I don't like the subjective. I want to know what is predictive and just like, okay, here's what's predictive and why and how these apply to these wide receivers. And now ranking them is easy. And for this one, it's just, I have no idea. And I think Billy was asking me before the show is like overall thoughts on this position. And it's like, no one wants to hear this answer. This is the worst answer to give the listeners, but I just think it's naturally very polarizing, very boomer bust class where you take your top 7 wide receivers, a random 33% hit massively, a random 33% bust massively. And I don't really know who those are pre-hindsight. And that's the answer I hate to give, but it's unfortunately the answer I came away with.
So that's our interview with Scott, and it actually turned out I DM'd him after the draft to ask him how everything shook out for him. He said nothing really changed for me. I think the draft went exactly how we expected. And I think it went how a lot of us expected. I don't think a lot of the draft capital stuff really changed too much, except for maybe like Dotson. But I think we all kind of assumed he'd be overdrafted in our minds. And then the second round and third round stuff really got fun, like guys like Pierce and things like that. Let's talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, folks. Each one of us is going to pick a draft selection from rounds 1, 2, and 3 that they can either mention as being good or bad or just ugly. It's up to you, and then we'll kind of just briefly talk about each outcome. I want to Billy. Oh, Jacob.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify quick. Are we doing like good, bad in terms of for fantasy or in terms of for the team that made the draft pick?
Billy.
Let's go for draft pick. Let's be NFL centered.
Okay,
Let's have some fun.
we'll do fantasy later. Okay, Billy, you're up.
All right. First off, I'm going to start off with my boy, the wide receiver one in the class for me. I got to take Jameson Williams to the Lions at 12. They trade up to get him with the Vikings, who just were playing some 3D chess and losing all night. But good move for the Lions to go up and get Jameson Williams, get a lot of speed, and what seems like he should be good to go at training camp. I think this was a good pick for the Lions.
I think it was best case scenario pick for the Lions. I think they just went. They did what they had to do. We're going to mention him a little later, but I don't know. Year one might not be the time to go and trade for him. Year two is probably, or halfway through the year is probably when to go and move for him, because his values depth. People are probably going to be a little sluggish. Like, where's all this massive production? And you know, fantasy players they get very narrow-minded when a player doesn't come out in like the first 3 weeks and absolutely destroy. So yeah, Jakob, you're good. The good.
Yeah, my favorite NFL pick, and it's also a pick that I found myself making some in fantasy drafts, but the Falcons taking Desmond Ridder, I really, really loved. Desmond Ridder was my real-life QB1 in this class, and he falls to the third round with pretty much every quarterback except for Pickett falling farther than people thought they might coming in. And I love what the Falcons did. Marcus Mariota, I don't think anyone is under the impression, maybe Marcus Mariota is, but I don't think anyone else under the impression that he's their long-term answer at quarterback. He's probably starting for the first half of this year or maybe the full year at best. But the next time that the Falcons are ready to contend, it won't be with Mariota. And it might not be with Ridder either. But I think it's a nice sort of half measure at a pretty low cost, where had they gone and done this at the top of the second, I would say, feels like kind of a half measure. Like, you're not fully committed to that quarterback, but you're not. Had they gone and taken a quarterback in the first round, I would have thought that was a really irresponsible choice, where you're taking a guy that probably too early in your rebuild process and not necessarily a lights out project. But what they do here with Ridder, I think, is great. They'll get him a chance to play this year. They do have some weapons, at least London and Pitts, so it's not totally hopeless in terms of the quarterback situation there. And then they'll let him see. You know, if he goes out there and impresses, why not give him next year while you continue to rebuild a defense that needs to be fully rebuilt, an offensive line that needs to be rebuilt, a running game that needs to be improved. And then maybe he ends up being your guy, and then you're able to use all your first-round picks coming up later on premium positions elsewhere, or trade back or trade down. And if he's not the guy, whatever, you only invested a third. So I think it's a nice price to pay for a speculative bet at the future, and I really enjoy it for real life and fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really follow up. I can't really add anything to that. Well,
We all like Ridder.
yeah, for me, so mine actually is from the Giants camp. And I know Ravens homer, Tom shouting out another team. I don't need to mention the Ravens draft, because everyone has just touted the Ravens draft all weekend. So I'm not gonna hit too hard on that. But the Giants, though, did something that I think is going to make one of my favorite late round / really cheap quarterback targets pretty safe for this year, and that's for Daniel Jones. I think Daniel Jones really won at this draft. The Giants were, if you're watching the PFF live draft board, their PFF fans and faithful were saying, Willis at this point, wanting to draft a quarterback in that third, fourth round. They said, nah, they drafted a guard whose name I can't pronounce properly, but I'll just go with Joshua at 67, and they got Evan Neal at 7. So they've bolstered that offensive line multiple years in a row now. And I mean, it should help out your boy Saquon Barkley too. And Evan Neal had a great pass blocking grade to get Dabble in there. They drafted Wan'dale in the second. I think that for this team, especially if they don't yeet Kadarius Toney out too early, please don't do that. Just please learn how to live with the man, even if it's difficult. Look, if Aaron can learn to live with me, I think you can learn to live with Kadarius Toney on your roster. And Daniel Jones was one of the Mitch Trubisky, Matt Ryan, late round dart throws, because no one knew what they were going to do. And I think he won here. And rushing upside, and maybe Dabble can sprinkle some Josh Allen magic and somehow make that offense not absolutely fucking vile and putrid. So everything should be up. Saquon should be up. Daniel Jones should be up like the whole offense all around if these picks hit. They're not like a guarantee, but Billy, back to you.
Yeah.
The bad.
The bad. I'm going to jump to round 2, and I'm going to look at the Seattle Seahawks, and that's Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker is a great NFL running back. I think this is a good pick for him. Like, I think he's going to have every chance to run well and, hold the ball and do the things that running backs do. But, like, the Seahawks, outside of the wide receiver position, have a bottom 5 roster in the NFL. Like, their team just across the board is bad. And they traded all their capital to get Jamal Adams to be the only other good player on their roster.
No.
Like, there's so much going wrong for the Seahawks that it felt like this would have been the one very rare situation where you go, screw it, we need Rashad Penny. Like, just let Rashad Penny play for the rest of his contract. Let him try to get a contract somewhere else and spend this pick on any number of good players that went immediately after him. Andrew Booth, David Ajabo, who is a first-round pick if he doesn't tear his Achilles, ACL, whichever one. Jaquan Brisker, Cam Jurgens. I mean, you go down the board, you just see good pick after good pick after that. I just don't think the Seahawks needed Kenneth Walker. It may turn out to be a good pick in 2-3 years when they're like back up and running with a new quarterback and making a Super Bowl push. But for the near future, I think this was a short-sighted pick.
And they got Charles Cross, too, to play tackle. But I definitely think in that second round, there was more they could have done to help out the offensive line. We saw really good offensive linemen go right after where Kenneth Walker went. It's very
I was going to say Luke Gedeke went back to the second round, and if he didn't go to Central Michigan, he probably is pushing early second, late first. Like that dude is good. Like it just seems like a bad pick. Jacob.
Yeah, my pick is like almost the exact carbon copy of Billy's, but I went with this one because I think it's slightly worse because they traded up to do it. And it's the Breece Hall pick at the beginning of the second round. I love it. I love Breece Hall, of course. He's going to be the 101 in all my fantasy drafts. I barely understand drafting a running back early in any case. I really don't understand it if you have a bad team. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The most valuable years of a running back's contract is going to be the first few years. It's a position that you've easily been able to see running backs come in and produce really effectively in even year 1, but especially year 2 and 3 are often the prime years of that contract. Do you think that the Jets' prime window of contention is going to be within Breece Hall's prime? I feel like maybe some of the later aspects of Breece Hall's prime. And then you look and you see the rest of their team. They didn't address offensive line in this draft early in the first round. I thought they had a fantastic first round of the draft, but they didn't address offensive line. I would have loved to see them address offensive line in that early second round pick instead of running back with Breece Hall. They have major holes at linebacker. They still need more on the defensive line. They still need more in the secondary. They need more of everything. The Jets are not a very good football team right now. So I just think it's bizarre to me to spend that early capital on a running back. I think that they still could have taken darts at running back position in later rounds, like a Zamir White, a Brian Robinson, a Tyler Algier, a Damian Pierce. To take your pick, throw him in there with Michael Carter, who's at least serviceable in his portion of the role last year, and then just see if you are able to find a guy, and then if you're not able to find a guy, then sure. If you want to draft a guy in round 2 later as a final piece of a really strong team, like what the Bills might have done with the James Cook, I can get a little bit more on board with that. But I think we see it like with what's happening with the Lions. I like DeAndre Swift. By the time the Lions are ready to contend, DeAndre Swift is going to be on the last year of his rookie contract. What's the point of that selection? It doesn't make any sense to me from a real football perspective. And to me, that's where the Breece Hall pick is going.
So I'll counterpoint your Breece Hall pick for that. If I'm the Jets and I see that this player is so far ahead of supposedly what every other back brings to your team, and you've got 4th round pick Michael Carter and your run game was pretty much inept last season outside of those couple of games with Carter, and you're looking at Zach Wilson and I need someone else that I can hand the ball off 20 times a game while we get this thing corrected and we can run them into the ground. It's not a first round pick. We made 3 of those already. I think it's just for the purpose of trying to save Zach Wilson's life. I think that's the main that this is the same group of people that drafted him last year. Now they added him. They added the receiver, and now they've added the playmaker on the ground. And it's still solid coming from San Francisco. Like if you put it all together that way, I don't think they think they're going to be contending, but they are building, and they can just run this contract out for Breece Hall. For me, this pick becomes horrific only if they re-sign Breece Hall. If they re-sign Breece Hall, then I think this pick is horrific, and then I take your point. So if we come back to this 4 years from now, I think I would agree. Or if he's just awful. But
I'm okay with it. It's just I'm okay with your point on not re-signing. I guess my last thing would just be 2023 running back class is going to be or is projected to be at least one of the best running back classes ever, or at least maybe the best since 2017. We know teams don't draft running backs very highly anymore. We saw only 3 off the board until the very late third round. I just feel like you're going to be able to get a Breece Hall level running back prospect in round 3 next year. And I don't see the point in drafting and trading up to get one round 2 when he's probably not doing a lot this year. Why don't you just take Brian Robinson? You can hand Brian Robinson the ball 20 times.
Right.
He's not going to do as much for you, but he'll get what's blocked.
I understand that. It just I don't know. The way I see it is we all know that the 23 class is it's supposed to be lit. I think NFL teams think that class is all supposed to be pretty good. Next year, it wouldn't surprise me to see the return of the first round running back when you got guys like Robinson and Tank and some of those guys.
Your first rounder.
Exactly. And I don't think at that point the Jets really don't want to overdraft for a running back. You know what I mean? I think that's the look at least from what I've been semi going through. That's why I think they did it. So I don't think it may be as bad, but it's pretty rough. Since you both took 2 picks that I was definitely going to mention, I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints moving up to 11 to draft Chris Olave is probably my bad pick. You traded, I think I saw Austin Gale had posted, they ended up moving a total of, I believe it was 5 picks. They traded a second and 3 picks in this draft this year to move up to 11 to get Olave when you definitely could have waited on a receiver. They could have got Burks wherever they were picking in that round. It just, I don't know, trading that much capital for a guy like Olave who people love, and yeah, it'll help them. And they signed Matthew today. So maybe they actually thought they were only a couple pieces away from really contending. And hey, it's an upgrade from Callaway probably, but worth it to move up again after you had traded to move back in seemed the worst process to me than trading up to go get Hall. I just think that's a bad pick. And even for fantasy, I don't like it. It's not like they're letting the Tampa Bay Bucks, Jameis Winston, let it loose for 30 picks and 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. They're not going to be let that Winston loose, I don't think. And they run the fewest plays per game in the NFL.
They at least split the difference? I know we're not going to see anything like we saw with the Bucks, but I think that they're going to run a little bit more of a modern offense this year with Thomas back and Olave than when their wide receiver crew is Callaway and what was it? Kenny Stills, I think, was actually playing snaps with them.
They had to play high school ball.
What worries me though is they didn't even let Alvin Kamara produce in the way that helped them win games in previous years. They ran him 20 plus times a game. They weren't even dumping it off to him. And I mean, it was one of the reasons there was a major panic. Now he's probably going to get suspended. And now Sean Payton's gone. And we get Dennis Allen, a defensive minded head coach. I don't think the pace of play is going to improve that much, especially if they're a good defense. We're going to run the ball, et cetera, et cetera. It worries me for Olave. And it's not like Thomas is going anywhere in the next year or two. He's sticking around. So I don't know. I think the process, I don't think the player was necessarily bad. The process is bad, and I think it's bad for fantasy. Billy, ugly.
Sorry, I just wanted to say something quick on the Saints. Sorry. Two other opshots with the Saints I think that I haven't seen talked about enough. The Saints traded their 2023 first. I think that there's a very realistic and I would say probable chance that Jameis Winston is their starting quarterback for 2 years.
Agreed.
This year and next year. So I think if you're to me, if I have one of these quarterbacks in the low end QB2 range, I would be very interested in Jameis Winston as a possible 2-year option. And I would also be looking to try and upgrade a Mariota or a Trubisky or a Darnold, or if I can, or Jimmy or Baker, any of these guys, if I could try to even upgrade them into a Jared Goff, like Goff is going to have hella weapons this year, and they didn't draft any other quarterback. I don't think he's starting in 2023 on the Lions, but I think he could have a really productive 2022 as a mid-range QB2, and maybe even play well enough to get a starting job as a bridge quarterback somewhere else. And the last thing I wanted to say on the Saints is that if Alvin Kamara gets suspended, someone else is the starting running back of the Saints for 4 to 6 games. Nobody seems to be rostering any other Saints running back. They picked up my favorite UDFA, Abram Smith, out of Baylor, and then they also still have Mark Ingram signed and under contract. So I think Abram Smith and Mark Ingram are 2 guys that should be rostered in every deep dynasty league, because there's a very realistic probability that those 2 guys are sharing the workload for 4 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Ingram last year, we said it on the pod that any running back that takes over for him, and sure enough, Mark Ingram hit that 15 points per game, I believe, when Kamara was gone. Billy, the ugly?
Yeah, so I wasn't sure how to classify this ugly pick. So I decided, for mine at least, to give it to bad teams that made picks that I think are going to keep them staying bad. I was going to add this on the Colts with Alec Pierce, but yesterday was Alec Pierce's birthday. So we're going to spare him. We're going to spare him. So
kind. I don't know if Jake is so kind.
I'm going to hand this award out to the Velus Jones pick, which is his birthday is next Wednesday.
So
and then the John Mechie pick, which I don't know when his birthday is.
Is it Jones's 29th birthday? Because it sounds like it.
No, it's his 25th. And I know that because me and him share a birthday, and quit making me old. So anyway, so all that is really good. It sounds like with the Velus Jones pick that Justin Fields liked him. Good. Glad they're giving him a guy that he voted for. I'm sure he also voted for a lot of wide receivers ahead of him. And same kind of goes with the John Mechie pick. It feels like there was a lot of players ahead or behind John Mechie, specifically at the wide receiver position, that I would have liked a lot more. And it feels like when you're a bad team, like the Bears and the Texans are, you need to be able to go and get like a foundational piece that's going to be safe, that you're not just going to airmail a pick. So that's what I always push for with these picks. And the Velus Jones and the John Mechie pick don't really feel like those to me, which maybe you're not going to get those in the 2nd or 3rd round, but I would opt to go for other positions then. So
for the Texans, I feel like they're just kind of like signaling that they're kind of more in on Mills than maybe we would think. Like that's a very safe, like, let's get someone so he doesn't totally suck.
And I mean, they have a decent wide receiving core. Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins is probably okay. And then John Mechie.
It doesn't surprise me that they took Mechie, actually, because the Patriots were heavily linked to Mechie. Caserio, of course, used to run the draft for the Patriots when he was with Bill Belichick. And so, like, it just feels like an Alabama wide receiver with no real production who NFL teams like more in the fantasy community feels like the exact kind of pick that Nick Caserio would jump all over. So that does not actually surprise me too much. I mean, Billy already kind of touched on it, but I can't think of anything new on the spot. So I will just say that my ugly is every single thing that the Chicago Bears did. It's just like I said, I didn't like the Breece Hall pick before, but I got to give credit to the Jets. Like, I'm not the biggest Zach Wilson fan, but they are trying to do everything they possibly can to make Zach Wilson succeed. Oh yeah, Kevin, perfect. This is the same thing they did with Nico Collins last year. They traded up. Why are the Texans trading up ever? This is okay. I'm tossing out the Bears thing. This is my new bad pick. Why do shitty teams trade up? The New York Jets traded up for Breece Hall. The Texans traded up for John Mechie. The Jaguars traded up into the 1st round to select a linebacker when they already paid Foye Oluokun a crap ton of money to come and play off-ball linebacker. If your team is bad, you need more players, not less players. If your team is bad, you probably should not have that much confidence in your ability to decipher who are the correct players to take versus the other players. Like, you clearly haven't been good enough at that in the past. That's why your team sucks. I don't understand why these teams that have horrible rosters, that have needs all over the roster, aren't just trying to maximize their chances by taking as many throws at the dartboard as humanly possible. It is ridiculous. That's what bad fantasy managers need to do. Like, yes, same as in fantasy drafts. if you have the best team in your league and you have your guy, go ahead, go trade for your guy. But if you are a team that is starting at the rebuild, you should absolutely never, under any circumstances, be trading up. You should be trading out or trading back, adding more picks, hoping things hit. It is a cancer of the NFL, is the trading up from these teams with awful rosters.
Yeah, no, I agree. I can't really add too much to that. For me, I'm gonna attack my favorite team here a little bit. They are getting an A+ rating, and I know some of that is for the Hollywood Brown trade.
Sorry, that comment absolutely killed me from Kevin. Oh my god,
great A.
He just said the Jacksonville Dunning-Krugers.
That's
solid.
amazing. I'm gonna say 2 out of the 6 fourth round. That's a record, by the way. 4th round picks for the Ravens, very solid. The other 4, an absolute waste. You have an opportunity to build on your offensive line, draft a receiver, right? I believe Tolbert went in the 4th, if I'm not mistaken. That's where Shakir went. Pretty sure they could have used Shakir. I mean, I don't know, maybe, perhaps.
Yeah, Tolbert 3rd and Shakir in the 5th, actually.
Yeah, so we wouldn't, so no Tolbert, but I do like the Falele pick. That guy's an absolute. They have 2 guys now that are 6'7" and over 375 pounds. Ben Cleveland, Falele. That's a Michael Orr stuff right there. And then I don't like I don't mind Amor Davis. Good player, just hurt a lot, whatever. But then they went Charlie Collier, a big tight end from Iowa State. Then they drafted punter Jordan Stout. So it looks like Sam Cook is gone, which sucks. And then they went back to tight end and drafted Isaiah Likely.
That's so Ravens.
And then they drafted Damarian Williams from Houston, not even on Pro Football Focus's draft board. He was off, I think, way outside of the top, 200, I believe. It just, they always do this shit, and I love the Ravens and how they get, but they whiff so horrifically sometimes in these middle rounds, because I'm pretty sure they drafted Williams to be like a special teams gunner, and they're like, we really needed to fill that position. And there were, again, just offensive linemen, there were some receivers, there was some other stuff they could have done. Draft 1 tight end, take the next one in the 5th. Like, I understand they want to go back to 13 personnel and whatever, but I mean, Boyle's gone, sure, and now Cook is gone, but come on, guys. And I do actually want to give a shout out to Devin Duvernay and Trav. A couple years later, and I'll finally say maybe Duvernay will be somewhat relevant or something. I don't know. But yeah, my worst is definitely I'm going to hit my own team. They're getting an A+ rating. I think everyone needs to like cool off a little bit.
Do you feel like I feel like even the good drafting teams all have like one crutch of a position or like a type of player that they just can't say no to. And for the Ravens, it's definitely like tight ends and fullbacks. Like they will draft to me when they first drafted Collar, I was like, okay, that's a bummer because I really liked Collar for fantasy as like a nice tight end sleeper. And I was like, that sucks that he's going to the Ravens because you're just not going to do that much for fantasy as the tight end 2 behind Mark Andrews. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, actually, we need another tight end. I was like, really? Like you need to draft 2? It's
like I know Collier ended up playing the Nick Boyle role, so he might score like 3 touchdowns, which is dope and all, and likely might take her spots. I think that's like what they want to try to do. But like now they got Oliver. This is just on one roster. All right. They've got a fullback who's 300 pounds, Patrick Ricard. Love him. Great. Should not be out running routes as much as he does. Then they have Josh Oliver under contract.
Will not be on the roster.
Nick Boyle.
I remember him having some bad drops last year.
Yeah. So they have Nick Boyle, Josh Oliver, and now they have Charlie Collier and Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. That's 5'6" fullback / tight end. Stop it. Stop. They're basically a receiver, and just stop it.
You got to imagine Boyle and Oliver are gone though.
Yeah. I would hope. I hope so. I hope so. But at the same time, I don't think they'll cut Boyle because they need him for the run blocking. I don't think Collier is going to be there in that super complicated, really stupid Greg Roman system.
Didn't Boyle have like his knee? Something happened last year, right? He had like a horrible injury
2 years ago, and he didn't fully recover. Yeah. So I'm thinking something like that. But anyway, that's it. We're gonna come back from this quick message here, semi-quick. These ones actually a little long here. We might do a quick break, and then when we come back, we're gonna do some Billy Stat Corner. Sit tight. Get ready for that. Also, I just want to point out that fantasy footballers are now doing audio breaks in between segments. Not saying, just saying.
Yeah.
So look, if you've never played Billy's Stat Corner, I know it's been a little while for us. We've taken a break from it, but Billy's Stat Corner is back, and basically what's going to happen, I have to change that because I don't actually know how this is going to go now all the way. Billy wouldn't tell me or give me a hint, but what's going to happen is Billy is going to ask Jacob and I a question, and collectively we have to get it right. We get 3 strikes, and we get a hint. I think that's about as much as I can mention. So Billy, hit us with that question.
Oh, yeah, we're keeping the same format, so don't you worry. So, currently, in terms of teams that had the most money allocated to the wide receiver position prior to the draft,
Okay.
3 of the top 5 teams selected a wide receiver in day 1 or day 2. Who are they?
Sorry, in terms of money, do you mean money for the 2022 cap year or for all outstanding contracts? Yes. Okay.
2022 cap year. So percentage of their 2022 cap, and this is all according to Spot Track.
Okay, so it's percentage of 2022 cap and did draft a wide receiver?
Yes.
In which rounds again?
Day 1 or day 2. So
day 1 or day 2. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's just go through all the teams that spent cap on a day 1 or 2 wide receiver, right? So we start off Falcons, obviously not. The Jets it would seem not. Corey Davis and Barrios, some, but not really.
Saints?
No. I mean, I don't think so. Like they have Thomas, but that's it. That's really all they're spending cap on. The football team, maybe. Or no, McLaurin hasn't been paid yet, but Samuel's the only one there, and Humphreys actually. Then who do we have? The Titans, obviously not. Now that AJ Brown is off. Well, he wasn't getting paid anyway. And then who's the other team day 1? Oh, the Lions. The Lions, no, I don't think so. Giants, probably. The Giants with Galladay's massive contract. And then Shepard is on I think somewhat of a minorly sizable deal. I could see the Giants being in there. I could see the Cowboys potentially, but they got rid of Cooper.
Who else took a receiver in maybe the second round?
Okay, the Chiefs, no. The Colts, definitely not. The Steelers, I actually don't think so, even though they're loaded at wide receiver. They're not paying anyone. They're all on rookie deals. I
think the Chiefs might be. I don't think there's a ton of super inflated MVS in his contract, Juju in his contract.
That's it. I mean, Juju's making $3.5 million.
Oh, he's right. He's not making 10 now. Shit. Good call.
I think the Giants would be the only one that I'm immediately.
I think the Giants have to be in consideration. Have to be.
Well, let's guess the Giants first.
You're gonna go Giants.
Yeah.
The Giants are number 1 on the list. They have the most money allocated to the wide receiver position.
It's unfortunate. They're not very good at wide receiver.
With $40 million. 10% of their cap is paying Kenny Golladay right now.
Number 1 only had $40 million.
Okay.
So,
well, yeah, you can't really support too many $20 million a year contracts.
That's why teams like the Chiefs are kind of in there for me. They made enough stupid signings.
Okay. Not the 49ers. They drafted one.
The Jets Corey Davis to a decently big contract. And they re-signed Braxton Berrios.
Yeah, that's possible. But you know who definitely is the frickin' Patriots. The Patriots inherited Devontae Parker's contract. They signed Aguilar. They signed Kendrick Bourne. I bet it's the Pats. And
they still have N'Keal Harry on the roster.
Yeah, because he's still getting a first-round contract.
Yeah, we'll go Patriots.
The New England Patriots are number 3.
That's the Pats. And their wide receivers suck.
It's so bad.
They are paying Aguilar, Bourne, and Parker already. And combined, those 3 are $26 million.
Oh my god! Then we get into the tight ends. Oh my god!
I know you don't even count all the money they're paying to Jonnu for.
I'll take an early season. I will take an early season win. Oh wait, do we need to get the other one?
You got one more.
Yeah, we
Oh,
need one more. Okay, well let's use our hint real quick here because we may as
All
well.
right. Yeah, let's go.
All
Hint.
right. This hint is pretty not creative. All the picks are round 2 or higher.
Okay, well the only other one that I'm thinking is potentially the Browns because they have Cooper on contract for $20 million, and that gets you pretty high on the list by itself.
Yeah, I mean we got 3 guesses to lose, so let's go Cleveland.
Cleveland Browns are not even close.
Oh.
$5 million of their cap is going to Amari Cooper this year. They actually have the second
what?
lowest.
How is it only
Behind-
$5 million? What kind of cap magic is happening?
$5 million of their cap dollars are going to Amari Cooper this year.
Okay,
I'll
Guess-
send you some
there must be some shenaniganery because like he costs $20 million, but I don't know if they restructured something around
Yeah,
to make
yeah.
it.
I'll send you the
Okay.
SPO track just so you make
Okay,
sure I'm not
okay.
BSing.
And Trav, no, it wouldn't count because AJ Brown was still on his rookie contract. It wouldn't come close.
Yeah, he wasn't really getting paid that much, which is why he's
Cleveland-
now traded.
Cleveland's out. Philly's out.
A second round rookie contract too.
Okay, so everyone in the second. So it went. So it's the Packers, the Giants.
What about the
we already
Saints?
guessed
The
them.
Saints come close.
The
What's
Saints
Michael
drafted Olave round 1, and it's only round 2 or 3. He said.
No, what?
He said all the picks are round 2 or higher. Oh, you mean
Other
round
way,
2 or
other
round
way,
1?
other way.
Oh, okay. I thought higher is in 2
God
and
damn it,
3. 'Cause
Billy.
3 is higher
Okay.
than okay.
I thought that was clear. I apologize.
Okay.
If someone's drafted higher, they're drafted
Okay.
closer towards the top.
Okay. We're
Okay, fair
idiots.
enough, fair
How to remember that? Okay. Let's go.
So
Hey, let's think about it then.
okay, so it's Steelers,
I still
Chiefs.
think the Jets have got it
Colts.
close.
Let's just think all the options. So it's Steelers, Chiefs, Colts. We already guessed the Patriots. We already guessed the Giants. It's the Packers, and then it's the 6. Yeah,
Dolphins?
Sorry.
Tyreek Hill's contract. The
Yeah,
Dolphins.
but they didn't
they
draft
didn't take a
anyone.
receiver.
They didn't get a
I'm
pick.
Tazi Konma. Okay, I'm fine with your Jets guess.
Okay,
Or Davis and Berrios.
let's go New York Jets.
The New York Jets are number 11
Oh.
in salary cap, with almost
We
all
always
of it
choke.
going to Corey Davis.
We are.
Oh,
We,
you're gonna choke so hard.
we do choke. Yeah. This
Okay, so
yeah,
so let's be really careful here. So it can't possibly be Atlanta. The Lions, they have Chark, 10 million. They have Reynolds is getting like 8 million. They have Khalif Raymond.
Yeah, I don't think he's making enough to dent it.
So
The
y'all
football
are all or
team-
nothing. You got a full count.
The
This
football
is
team
trash.
has the football team is paying Curtis Samuel. They're paying Adam Humphries,
Yes.
but nobody else really of note.
It can't be the same.
Am I
suit.
missing someone obvious?
It can't be Indy. It can't be the Bears. It can't be the. We got the Giants already.
No way it can be the Packers. That's like their whole bit. Is that they don't have
Billy's
receivers.
smiling too much. It's driving me crazy.
I'm enjoying this. I'm
don't
liking
know.
watching y'all
Like-
run in circles.
I'd be okay. I think I don't know. Oh my god, this is bullshit. You do this every time. I don't know. We're running out of time. We got 10 seconds.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm split between like Kansas City.
I don't think it's KC, man. I really don't think it's KC.
Houston. It can't be Houston.
Oh, Cook's just got a big contract.
I don't know if it's big enough because they
Yeah, but
only.
they have like a bunch of rando signings. Like I don't know, maybe.
I can't believe the Jets were 11.
I mean, all their money is Corey
What
Davis.
about the Bill? Oh, they didn't take a receiver until. Oh wait, didn't you said below to like
No.
2 and lower, right? So wouldn't.
Round
Yes,
2 and
round
round 1.
1 or round 2.
Oh shit. This is bogus here, Billy. This is brutal. I don't know, man. We got to make one.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go? Last one.
No, I don't think any. I guess I like the Lions, but I don't think that's true.
Okay, just to hedge my bet, I think it's Kansas City. So we're gonna go Lions.
Y'all are hedging. All right, I'm down with that.
Hedging.
Yeah.
Neither of you are correct.
Okay.
Ah, fuck.
At number 5 is the Tennessee Titans
On who?
Who are
Woods?
still paying Julio $14 million
Oh, come on.
and have a $10 million
that's
contract to Robert
cheating.
Woods.
That's
How's that
cheating.
This is some
Julio's money.
That's the
Oh,
money
my
allocation
God. This
from
is
the
fake
NBA.
news.
How
This
is that
fake
cheating?
news.
This is
Oh my
brutal.
God.
Yeah, Billy got us with another bogus call.
Technicality.
Unbelievable,
They're
brutal.
paying the wide receiver position.
You beat us on a technicality. This is bullshit.
That is not a technicality. That's just true.
When we come back, we're gonna finish this thing off and get us out of here so the boys can comfortably watch Cream City versus the Celtics. I'm never gonna stop saying that. That's
Yeah,
so
well, right now they're getting Cream City, so
ooh.
That's all
there's-
right. My
there's-
parlay hit. I'm good.
there you go.
Oh
I
my
made my
god.
money back.
You're not a true fan, Billy. You just exposed yourself.
I celebrated like crazy last year. I don't want to hear that.
No, it's
But if
true.
we're going to lose, I would rather lose and my parlay hits.
I'll say this: wonder how much basketball I've watched this year. The longest bit of basketball that I watched happened this week, and it was when the Boston Celtics GM left before the fans did. That's as long as I've watched basketball this year, and it was to watch
Hell yeah.
that clip. Look, we're not going to do the status of rookie picks. We're obviously going to have a ton of time to talk about rookie picks.
Yeah.
We have time for that. Me and Tom Lee on Saturday's Walkabout will definitely be doing some rookie pick talk. Look, we are going to do some eating crow and cake. Actually, cake, one of my favorite things. This is where each host gets to take their victory laps and laps of defeat, crushing despair. Each
I made
host
this segment
picked
for
the
you,
player
Jacob.
landing spot that either came true or failed to come true. Now is your time to both own up your mistake and reflect on your process while victory lapping your favorite calls of the draft. So, fellas, Billy, I'm going to go to you again to start off. Who are you eating crow on?
I, unfortunately, will need to eat crow on Isaiah Spiller and probably Zamir White. Zamir White probably worse so. I mean, he's not going to get a chance until next year. But Isaiah Spiller, I was hoping, I was praying, I thought there was a good chance that one team just really liked him and saw past the speed and decided to take him earlier, and they just didn't do it. And he was a back half pick going right before the first kicker off the board in Cade York to the Browns. All that really hurts. I still love Isaiah Spiller. I think he's going to be a late round draft pick if he's going to fall that far. But boy, did that one hurt to see Isaiah Spiller fall that far in the draft.
Yeah, that was, and Trav did actually get
that off the screen.
Correct. He actually did get that one right, and we ignored him. So shout out to us. I'll take my crow. I'll eat crow. Wan'dale Robinson. I'll eat my crow. This is going to be a two-parter for Wan'dale today. I said that there was no chance the NFL believed that a person smaller than me could succeed and get the draft capital. I said it. I said that Wan'dale Robinson wasn't going to be a thing. He's not going to get drafted. Not only did he get drafted, but he got drafted by one of the better offensive minds in the sport. And it's quite clear that they will have a role for them. So I'm eating crow. I'm eating my giant shit sandwich. I'll also mention one of my own takes being that 5 quarterbacks would go in the first round. That was pretty brutal of me.
Giving some love to the Giants over here.
It's true. I think they had a great draft. I'm sorry. I know it's weird. It's a little fugazi for me to give them a shout out here in New York, but the Giants, I think, did a really good job. Their fan base is still booty cheeks, but I think their draft was fine. Jacob?
Yeah, I mean, Tom mentioned it with the quarterbacks. Luckily, I didn't go as high as 5, but I thought there'd be at least 3 that would go in the first round, and specifically Malik Willis. Stunned, honestly. I mean, early on in the process, I was much more hesitant. It was like, I'd really love this guy. If he's going to get the draft capital, I don't know. And yeah, I mean, the way that the betting markets and everything were leaning, it looked like a lock that he was going to go in the first, and it looked quite probable that he was going to go in the top 10. Can't believe he ended up going into the third. I'm really, really stunned that the NFL, nobody was willing to take a shot on those physical tools. I still think that they should have, at least in the second, taken a shot on a guy with that kind of physical upside, but I'm not a quarterback scout, and they decided not to. We will see if Tennessee ended up getting a steal, or if Malik Willis just never had it. But that one definitely, it was a major shock to me, and was really really unfortunate for just rookie drafts in general, because that takes out a player that was expected to be the 102 in pretty much every draft off the board entirely until the second round.
It's one of I think this year kind of felt like the NFL GMs were finally like, hey, everyone else knows these guys are bad, so maybe we don't have to do it. This is why I said the Jets and the Giants definitely shared a war room and hired outside sources to come in and run their draft, because it was done too clean this year.
It really feels like a lot of them just said, if we draft a QB this year, we're out next year. Like we just don't want to do what the Cardinals did. It worked for the Cardinals, but it just seemed like teams didn't want to do that. And they're like, if we're going to suck this year, we're going to ride it out and be at the top of the draft next year for Young and McLeary.
Shout out for Quinn Ewers, 2024 future New Orleans Saint. It's going to be my earliest call. Billy, time to eat your cake, buddy. I know you're going to the gym after this, but before you get some pre-gym cake in your belly, who are you lapping on?
I'm going to take two. One doesn't really matter, but I am going to say David Bell to the Browns is about the best landing position he could have gotten at that point. I think that spot makes so much sense, and I love that. Besides that, I am going to victory lap. Probably my most confident take I was taking the entire draft was Kenny Pickett, the first quarterback off the board. I didn't think it was going to be Kenny Pickett, the only QB in the first two rounds. But I was saying it the whole time. My mock draft, I had him going at 6. He didn't end up going there. He ended up going at 20 to the Steelers in what is probably the best position for a quarterback that they could have gone to this year. Like, just tons of weapons everywhere, and they drafted more in the second round, and they're having improved O-line after free agency. I think there's so much good going towards Kenny Pickett, and he was the first QB off the board. I'm going to take that win.
Yeah, I'm stunned by the fact that I'm actually drafting Pickett. Like, I've taken him. I have 6 completed rookie drafts, and I've taken him twice. One at the 1-9, and one at the 1-11. And, I mean, I don't like Pickett at all. I still think he's a totally awful, disgusting prospect. But I've said this on record before. Any quarterback who gets first-round draft capital, I believe, is worthy of a first-round rookie pick. And in a class with no other quarterbacks occupying the top spots, I think that I think Kenny Pickett has to go in the late first. So.
This is the tale of fantasy managers trying to be too sharp. I think this is that, and I know Tom Lee at the Walkabout is definitely going to love that. He's king value.
I feel like I real quick need to defend something. At the last night of the draft, or the first night of the draft, but the very last word, we all debated who the 102 was. And I was, a Jacob's cavalcade of drinks down when I said Kenny Pickett is the 102. Kenny Pickett is not the 102. Kenny Pickett is not the 102. He's not the 102. It's okay. I'm taking it back. No one ever called me on that. But if anyone wants to call me on that, I will gladly take it back and say I was very wrong.
I think it's like a valid take. Like, okay, to be clear, I don't share that take, but like, I don't think it's insane. Like, I think that it's still super flex, that he's a quarterback, and he has really good weapons, and there's no other quarterbacks that win the first round, and there's like one really perfect running back prospect, and none of the wide receiver prospects are like totally perfect. I don't know. I've heard more insane takes.
I think it's fun. I think it's fun to talk about because he has insulated value over a guy like Kenneth Walker, and Kenneth Walker is going 1-2 in way too many drafts, in my opinion. He has a little bit more insulated value because Kenneth Walker could come out and completely shit the bed. And we've seen what happens to running backs who have bad first year. Doesn't always work out. He could definitely Ronald Jones himself. Kenny Pickett's got at least 2 years in Pittsburgh with a good coaching staff and a really good offense built around him. Hell, they even drafted Calvin Austin there.
And a lot of depth at wide receiver too. Yeah. So if Claypool, Deontay, they don't end up paying their contracts, it's not like they're going to have a Devontae Adams situation where he leaves and the core is gone.
They've
Like he is set up for them to develop him for the near future. And
Their O-line still kind of
10
sucks.
years.
Pittsburgh doesn't seem to care about their offensive line. So
No, they care about receivers. They draft a lot of receivers, and then O-line is optional.
Check it
They
out.
just let them be old.
You've got Najee Harris,
Yeah.
Pat Fryermuth, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, George Pickens, Calvin Austin, and they're just like, all right, we're gonna have a quarter. If a free agent quarterback went there, we'd be excited. Like if a decent quarterback that was a free agent, we'd be like, this is
Like
dope.
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, exactly. And we were excited there for a bit. And like that offense is really good. All Kenny Pickett has to do is not be worse than Big Ben. That's all he has to do.
Which
And I think you'll
would
be
impressive.
exactly. So I think that'll be okay. Eat your cake, Jacob.
Yeah, oh, man. I mean, obviously, it's the little man. It's the little man.
Hang on.
Wan'dale Robinson Susan. I feel like back in like October, it was just 3 people, I feel like, on like all of Twitter that were just shouting about Wan'Dale to the masses. Me, Alfred Fernandez, Jarek Backus just tweeting out graphs of Wan'Dale's production. And then he went at the combine, he measured in shorter, and the people had their laughs in. And I'm proud to say I never took Wan'Dale out of my top 10 wide receivers. And now I get to fully inscribe him locked into my top 10. I love the fit. It's a really fun fit. I think that New York's going to run a ton of 10 personnel like they did in 2020. And it's interesting. You look at the list of these other 5'8" wide receivers recently. And I mean, I've made the point that there's guys that haven't gotten the draft capital, but even extending beyond that, it's like Cole Beasley and Jameson Crowder are interestingly the two that have gotten brought up. And of course, Cole Beasley previously filled the slot role in the Dable offense, and now Jameson Crowder is going to fill that role presumably in Buffalo, where Dable came from. So I definitely think there's room for this kind of a player in that offense, and I'm going to be really excited. He seems to be going really cheaply in everyone else's rookie drafts, but everybody in my rookie drafts, of course, has followed me on Twitter and knows that I love him, and so they like to take him in the early second. But for the patrons that are getting him in like the mid-third, that seems really fun. So it must be enjoyable to have that experience. I can't relate.
Everyone knows if you've become too popular now. Look, and for me, I think it's pretty simple, pretty clear, and it's James Cook, man. I mean, A2 DC. Everyone said he was too small. He's too small. You can eat a sandwich. I said it on the draft show. You can eat a sandwich. You can get that weight up. Right, it's not really a big problem. And if you heard Brandon Beane talk about James Cook, it's that they really, his quote was, "We see his best skill set as a sub back. We think he can handle carries too, if we give him some more carries." Basically, they're saying like if he proves, and look, we always talk that we hate coach speak, but we love coach speak when it backs our points. So I'm going to use it because that's the narrative building game, and that's how you do it. But what this shows to me is that if he doesn't completely suck running the ball through the tackles with some carries, we could start seeing 6 to 7 carries and 4 to 5 targets per game. That's like the dream James White scenario for James Cook, which is what I've been saying. I just want to add a caveat. Stop fucking taking him at 106. Stop it. You're ruining this for me. Don't turn me against my favorite player. Stop it. Because
a strong 107.
I have him ranked at 201 in my rookie rankings, and that's me being all about it because 201 seems just fine for me. I am willing to say that 110 is like a reasonable, thoughtful place that if you really want a running back and you really think he's going to do it and you don't believe in like a Dotson or Christian Watson, sure, James Cook's a fine player and a good offense. Awesome. Stop it at 106. Because I'm going to turn against my own. I'm turn against my favorite player.
If you go back and record this, you can watch my eyes just go wide because you said Christian Watson, and I would have put my life down that you said Calvin Austin. And for a split second, I'm like, wait, whoa, what? Like I came out of the abyss for a second. I'm like, did he just say Calvin Austin is a first-round pick? Am I losing my mind?
Hey, when they don't re-sign Deontay Johnson because they drafted him, because apparently he's the next Antonio Brown. But besides the point. do not do that thing that Twitter loves to do, which is make you turn on your own favorite player.
Yeah, this has been my life for like 3 years, and I hope it happens because this constantly happens where I steam guys up, and then I have to root against them, and then Tom calls me a flip-flopper. So I can't wait. I can't wait for you to have a big bit in July where you're like, guys, stop drafting James Cook at the 106. And then I'm like, Tom, why are you flip-flopping on your favorite player?
Just do what I do and be wrong all the time.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
But for the record, I was stating that I would only draft them at like 201 and 112. So really,
yeah. I've been there. Actually, I only said.
It's true, but if I didn't do that for you, I would have a lot fewer bits, and that's one of the bits that I have. So I got to keep it. Look, I think that's gonna do it. Look, I just want to shout out that Underdog has already opened up Best Ball Mania 3. It is their biggest one yet. They have $10 million in prizes, $2 million to the winner, which hopefully one of us does it so we can, retire and all that other fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. I would disappear.
It's a lot of fun, and we are going to have best ball content coming your way more regularly, more frequently. We're going to be doing some drafts. Hopefully they give us some $5 entries. These $25 entries are a little nuts for, some of us lunatics that like to do like 100 best ball drafts for these things, but you are going to get it. And if you haven't played at Underdog Fantasy before, you should do that by signing up with promo code Full Tilt. What they will do is if you've never played before, you sign up, you type in Full Tilt in the promo code, you deposit up to $100. They're going to give you the amount of money that you've deposited with back to you. So if you deposit $100, they're giving you $100. Now you have $200 to play against us and other great people in the space like Josh Larkey and just everyone else out there that's in the best ball streets. Win yourself some money. Do that. Do it with Full Tilt. It helps us. It helps you. We'll get it all done. Also, if you're looking to buy your fantasy football championships, you can go to Trophy Smack. Use promo code Thomas Tipple. That's Thomas, Tipple. Get yourself that free championship ring, $60 value. Do it. I did it. I mean, take advantage of that. Why wouldn't you? Other than that, fellas, I just want to remind everyone to be kind to one another. There's a lot of craziness in the world, a lot of really rough stuff out there right now, and just try to keep yourself level-headed. Check in on your loved ones, even if you don't know if they need it or not. Remember that clear eyes and full hearts can never lose. Your best days with goddamn, they're always spent tilting. Good night, everybody. Fellas, enjoy that game.